Dr. Richards lived as a man until last year. He was a successful ophthalmologist in New York and a ranked amateur tennis reassignment operation a year ago. Dr. Richards has been living in California and playing tennis as a... That was fine until she decided to enter Forest Hills, the major tennis tournament in this country. Tonight, the problems of being a transsexual athlete, and more widely, the growing recognition of transsexualism and the problems of acceptance in American society. Dr. Richards, you want to play at Forest Hills. Why are you unwilling to accept a chromosome test?
I'm unwilling to accept it because I don't think it's a good test for sexuality. Sexuality is many more things than what your sex chromosome pattern is. Socially and legally, your sex chromosome pattern has nothing to do with it. I am a woman. My gynecologist will attest to that. My documents all say that I am a woman, and I live as one. To be asked to take the test that Forest Hills wants me to take seems unfair. They are only going to pass those women who have a specific type of chromosome pattern, and that would eliminate, most likely, me, and it might eliminate some other women with abnormal chromosome patterns too.
Yeah, but you being a doctor yourself, if you haven't already had a chromosome test as a result of your recent experience, you might suppose that your chromosomes would turn out to have the pattern of a man's, might they not?
They might, and I think the probabilities are that they would show the male XY pattern.
Yeah.
But I don't think that it is a fair test for sex regardless of what the chromosome pattern might show.
Wouldn't you, in fact, and I guess this is what is at the heart of this controversy, wouldn't you, unless it's just pure prejudice, which we could come to in a minute, but wouldn't you, in fact, having been born with the body of a man and played tennis as a man and having the muscular structure of a man, have an unfair advantage when playing against women?
I think that what you said just a moment ago is at the heart of it. The heart of my being excluded is that people are afraid that I do have an unfair advantage, having been a man. I don't think that this is so. There are many women athletes, tennis players, golfers, track stars, who have height, weight, and muscle mass that is much stronger, bigger, or in whatever dimension you would want to measure it, than I. Betty Stove from the Netherlands is 6'1" and 160 pounds, taller and heavier than I am.
With the same proportion of muscle?
With the same proportion of muscle. I think that you could do muscle mass testing, which can be done, putting somebody in a certain kind of a chamber which allows you to determine their fat muscle
So
ratio.
You're saying there are other tests than the chromosome test which might reveal whether you would have an unfair advantage?
Yes. I think that one of the most amusing things was that I read in the newspaper this afternoon, they asked Ilya Nastasi, who is one of the best men player in the world, what he thought of all this, and he said, I don't know what all the fuss is. She's a woman, she can't play both ways, she can't play in the men's, and besides, she's old enough to be their mother. What are they afraid of?
Do you feel that you are being discriminated against, and if so, how?
Well, I'm being discriminated against by being deprived of my right to pursue my avocation, not my profession, because that's medicine, but my avocation, which is tennis. And I feel that I have the right to play tennis the same way that I have a right to alimony if I marry and divorce, and the same way that I have the right to reduce life insurance premiums for life insurance as a woman. I have all the rights of women, and I have enjoyed them so far in my life, except for being excluded from playing in the U.S. Open, which is the pinnacle of every tennis player's aspiration.
Yeah. If you were tennis officials, if you were the officials running the Forest Hills tournament, how would you get around this?
I think that some screening test is appropriate. I'm not sure, and perhaps Dr. Harris or one of the other doctors could elaborate on that. I think some screening test would be appropriate, and then in a questionable case, have a gynecologist examine the person, any certified gynecologist. And then you'll have your answer, is this person a man or a woman?
Could I just ask Dr. Richards, you'd like to reply to, Dr. Harris evidently thinks that you do have some advantage because you play better than 25-year-old, that is much younger, professional women tennis players.
The answer to that is that I did beat one 25-year-old professional tennis player. That's not the same thing as beating Chris Evert. And this one professional that I did beat was making her first tournament debut as a pro. From the people that I have spoken to who have played Chris Evert and have played me, they're almost uniform in their agreement that she would be an overwhelming favorite if she were to play me.